Alright, how's it going, guys? CT knife videos, back with another knife vid, of course. I do apologize in advance for the wind, or if you hear a little bit of wind, but just figured I'd talk about this beauty here for just a minute. This was a knife I've been trying to get a hold of ever since I was a little bitty boy. They're growing, of course, harder to get a hold of now, just like most of the vintage knives I have. They're also very, very expensive. But this here, in case you don't already know, this is a French Bargeon. If I am pronouncing it correctly, I've only ever read it. I've never, heard it from anybody else out loud. You could say Bargeon, possibly, but I always pronounce it Bargeon. It's French after all, so it's all about, pronunciation and how you say it. Anywho, the reason why I'm talking in this video and discussing about it a little bit is because I've come to realize that many of you were like me and curious about like how it works, how it feels, the whole mechanisms of these guys, and if they're worth the money and stuff like that. So I figured I would share all that here and what to expect if you ever get a hold of one of these. Anyways, it has a very distinct, recognizable look to it, style, if you will. The button being very very vertical, if you will. Rough fiber design, kind of composite scales with the humpback. Very, very cool. And then of course the cross kind of look to it. So, as I said before, these are French. Kind of like, the Italian stilettos, but this would be your like French version. This is a French stiletto in a way. But let's take a look at it real quick. So I've been wanting one of these for the longest time because the movie Terminator, I forget which one it is, I don't know if it's 1, 2, or 3, but basically the part where he goes up to the punk kids and he asks for their clothes and they pull out their knives and they say, "F you, a-hole." Yeah, I'm not sure. Re-looking back on the clip, I'm not 100% sure if those are Bargeons, but I had the impression as a kid that those were Bargeons, and that's what made me want one ever since, just to have for collector purposes. How does it physically feel? I know looking at it, like on the web and on pictures and stuff like that, it looks very flimsy, almost like those Switchblade combs, but obviously just with a blade instead. This is not like that at all. It's actually a lot heavier than I expected it to be. Like when I picked up the package I got in the mail, I was like, wow, this thing's pretty heavy. I was like, this must be a good knife. And then I took the knife out and sat it down, went back to it later and picked it up and thought the same thing. I was like, wow, this is heavier than I expect. I mean, it's not like weighing my hand down. Obviously, it's not going to be no 10-pound knife or nothing like that. But this is heavier than it looks. Okay, it is more bulk, very sturdy, nice strong metal to it. Okay. And I believe there's some brass liners in there as well, if you could see that. That's pretty cool. The scales are composite, but it's real tough. Okay, and it's all bulked together real well. There's very minimal, very minimal blade play. It looks like there's a ton when I do this, but I'm just moving the knife too. If I could actually like do it without moving the knife, you could see it just moves ever so slightly. On the tang it says Bargeon Inox. And it's hard to make out because this is an old vintage model from the 60s, I believe. And perfect condition, in my opinion. Just amazing condition for being a vintage knife. The lock works really well. It does not slide up or slide down on its own by accident. I know some stilettos will do that, especially the Chinese made ones. But let me see if I can do this with one hand. There we go. You have to push the hump back to close it. Pushing up the lock works real well. Pull this back down. Amazing fire. They do usually come with this bail on it, or this little ring on the bottom. So just really cool. Really cool knife to check out and go over here. Not a lot of people are able to get a hold of these. I've been after one, like I said, for quite some time. I wasn't after it that bad, considering it's just very expensive. It was more so a knife that I was just waiting to be able to afford. But on top of that, they are pretty hard to find too, and pretty hard to get a hold of. So I'm glad I finally got a hold of one that was real good condition. I ordered this from a gentleman straight from the heart of France, and I mean, it's just amazing. I love this knife. Just mint condition, sounds great when it opens, and just a really good knife, nice and heavy. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Not too much else to talk about this knife, but really cool. So if y'all have any questions or anything, feel free to ask me. Any comments, whatever, you know what to do. Whatever you want. Do have more videos to come soon, so stay tuned. And thank you so much for watching, as always. You guys have a good one.